Well, the supermarket prices inquiry that we've seen in the Senate is complete, and the report has been handed down. 14 recommendations in it. And the first one is calling for the Parliament to create divestiture powers specific to the supermarket sector. So this means that the government could break up major retailers like Woolies and Coles and stop them owning multiple grocery businesses and legally erode their market power. Now, this won't happen, and I think it is a dangerous path to go down, to be going down the path of divestiture. We've got a free market for a reason. Now, the second recommendation is the government should make price gouging illegal. Again, it sounds good. I just don't know how it would work in the real world. How would you prove that a supermarket is price gouging? But I think the third recommendation has a little bit of merit. That there's a commission on prices and competition which examines the way prices are set across the economy, not just supermarkets. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that supermarkets would be required to publish historical pricing data that's accessible to both suppliers and consumers. So I could dial up, what a kilo of rump steak cost in 2015. And if I'm a farmer or a customer, I can juxtapose that with what I'm paying at the supermarket today. Now, it might be a bit difficult for supermarkets, but I think it's something definitely worth considering. But you tell me, what do you think needs to happen to our supermarkets? 131873. Liberal Senator Maria Kovacic, she was on this Senate inquiry and the supermarket pricing inquiry. I'm pleased to say she's on the line. Senator, thank you for your time.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on. Hey, I'm interested to see, given you are a Liberal senator and this was a Greens-led inquiry at the end of the day, divestiture, is that something that you support?
Not in the context that the Greens have put it forward, and the coalition senators don't support the Greens Competition and Consumer Amendment Divestiture Powers Bill. As it's drafted, it doesn't have adequate safeguards in place. It is not something that will work in these circumstances, and that was something that was also addressed in the inquiry by Dr. Emerson, who's also running an inquiry for the ACCC. So, no, I don't support this bill, and I don't think that it'll solve the problems that we have in relation to grocery prices.
Do you agree with the commission, a pricing commission, where the prices are just transparent and available for all of us to see?
Well, what I do agree with is fairness and transparency, both in pricing and in supplier and grower contracts with the major supermarkets. Where this is really interesting is I think that this is probably something that the ACCC should be empowered to do, rather than having yet another agency or another bureaucracy that does this. So what it is delivering, I think, is important. Whether or not this should be a separate commission, or whether it should be captured under the ACCC is something that I think is something that sort of warrants a little bit more investigation.
Did you get anywhere with your inquiry? Because we were sort of hoping that the supermarket inquiry in the Senate would potentially get us somewhere with the grocery prices that we all experience.
Look, I think what it's done is it's given us a lot of information. In particular, it's given us a very clear delineation between the different power structures, particularly, we talk about suppliers. Not all suppliers are created equal. We've got small micro suppliers, small family businesses, growers, producers, farmers. We've got large Australian suppliers, and then we've got the multinationals. They're all different, and their relationships with the supermarkets are very different. And understanding that and understanding the impact of that on our prices is really important. One thing I was very disappointed about is that we didn't have the multinationals front the inquiry to give evidence. They did provide written submissions, but, they weren't available. They were busy. It was school holidays, every excuse apart from the dog ate our homework as to why they couldn't appear. So I think that was very disappointing. They control, a large proportion of what is in our supermarkets and the things that are in our cupboards at home. So they should have been there, and one of the recommendations is obviously a reference to the Economics Committee into the power and behaviour of the multinationals.
Senator, I appreciate your time. Keep up the good work. Thanks so much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
That's Liberal Senator Maria Kovacic, 1318.